Daddy, let me see if I have it straight now about how you and Uncle Judd and Hunter Nilsson first came to West Texas in 1922.
1922.
Okay.
Covered wagon.
The next year, your daddy and Aunt Dixie and Uncle Spunky and Uncle Bill all came. You went back home, and then you all came out here.
Yeah. What happened there? We come out here and pick cotton. See, we couldn't even get a job for 6 bits a day down at home. Wasn't no work at all. Jim Richard had come out here the year before, lived on the Coleman place, and he'd come back and told us about this country. And we decided then we'd come out here. And he come back and got us a job picking cotton in a house of living. That was Sam Davis. Sam Davison lived there where Glen Ward had torn that place. He bought a place over there where James Saber lived. Now I'm building a new house. He was living on it. So we come to the house that he lived in over there.
And that was your dad and you and Uncle Judd?
No, that was Justin, our son.
Oh, this is the first time.
And we picked cotton to December, I guess. We got the cotton picked out. And we was making $4 and $5 a day, sometime more than that. We picked around $400 a day and get $1.50. Well, honey, we'd never had money like that all the time. When we went back, got on the train, then we hitched the wagon up, mules up the wagon, carried us up to St. We got on the train, went home. We had to take examinations before they allowed us back at school. So we took the examination and passed. Whether we stay in the same grade, we had to kind of fuck around and study. But we picked up the grades of all those others and then made good grades later. Practically, I made a little better grades than some of them. The judge was smarter than me, but I could make the hooks. I made the hooks. One here and there, you know. I was the only one that got a gift in my room. From second and final examination.
Daddy, I believe you're just naturally pretty smart.
Well, I'm natural. You and your mother know that.
I just believe that.
Compliment. But anyhow, that's where it was.
And then y'all all came back out here. Your daddy and Aunt Dixie and everybody.
They went school was out. Day after school was out. Judd and I got on the train and come back out here. We both had a job. I was working for Sam Davis. Judd was up in Linwood. I was out of place for me. And so John Black was there and he tossed out on the ocean. He set him out. Coming on out there. Father's already decided, but John Buck's claiming the credit for it. That's all right. Give him the credit. By George Fowler just put everything on the Hamilton car and come out here. We just wide loose. I went in the car and got back to the house. Albert King, just worked for over there, had a big stack of 2 stacks of Sudan straw where he trashed the Sudan. Bob was extraordinary good friend, a top boss. He made me think he didn't think much of that Sudan straw. Judson was sick and couldn't help. Then I hauled all that Sudan straw over the phone in a wagon and fought. We got those cows by on that. We got them through the winter on that Sudan straw. It was just a real bit of cake liquor. But when they was here, they hadn't been here all any length of time. It was the 1st of June. Cecil Shaw lived on the Shaw place. He got a chance to go back to Pullman and run ranch. He wanted to go back over there. We bought him out. Lived on that in 23. We made our first crop in 23. started in June. We had some of it planted, and that was all.
So that was your first crop out.
That was our first crop out.
And Aunt Dixie married Uncle Claude real soon after y'all moved out here.
Yeah, we hadn't been here all in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, she married Uncle Claude.
Yeah.
Uncle Pete didn't move with you, did he?
Let me see about Uncle Pete. Uncle Pete come out here on that covered wagon train with us. So with that rule, I believe it was, he got on the train there and went north to Market where they had a school to teach.
And Aunt Jackie was in nursing school then.
In Abilene, yeah.
In Lubbock or in Abilene? Abilene. Okay, what year did your father get sick and go to the valley? Did he live out here?
I guess it's 25, let's see.
Was he out here for long?
25 we come over there. It was either 25 or 26.
Okay, then he's in the valley, and when school is out, you send Uncle Bill and Uncle Spunky down there to be with him.
Yeah.
But you and Uncle Judd stayed out here.
Yeah.
Okay, when did you decide to go to the valley?
We went down there. The last crop here was in 29.
29.
So it's 30 in my side of the west valley.
You and Uncle Judd moved down there.
We best just he and I there. So for 4 years or 5, whatever.
And that's when you ran around with Walter Maker and went to some of the parties at the Makers and the Colemans and everywhere.
Yeah.
And then when your dad was, after he went to the valley and y'all went down there, how long did you live in the valley? A couple of years? Hardly.
I went down there in the 30s. I guess let's see, that was the rest of the 31. About a year and a half.
And that's when y'all took this long vacation when Uncle Bill and Uncle Spunky graduated from high school.
Yeah.
And then you got a job as assistant manager of Wolfsburg.
I started working with one, but I wasn't assistant manager.
Not the beginning.
You told the one about being on the wheat harvest or whatever it is and throwing the biscuit?
Lay it all out there.
He hadn't told that.
Watching from the house, be working out there.
Well, working an independent thresher crew, they finished everything. They just come to your farm, they just thresh it out there. They'd feed us. We had bunks of our own, they're just bunch of army blankets, sleep in them. Well, the cook, old man, old lady doing the cooking, they cooked those biscuits up that big high, and some of them would actually be dough in the middle. It wouldn't even be done in that old separator trim. He got one of those biscuits out. He started buttered it, and it started his dough, and he pulled it out. He stretched it out about that far. Still hadn't thrown any food. He let out a big curse word and threw it just as hard as he could to get up in the corner of the old houses, and just stuck there. It's still up right when we left. That biscuit stuck right up in the corner of the house.
What about, did you tell the story about you and Uncle Pete looking for kids to sign up for school there at where he was teaching up around Levelland?
She had it brushing her.
But I thought that was interesting. About looking for the smokestacks? For the smoke?
But given their age and size?
No, the way you were registering kids for school. You were talking about driving out through the country looking for the smoke coming out of the ground.
Oh, that I was Uncle Pete taking school census. Well,
oh yeah. Okay.
You'd have to know how that western country was, you see. They just
But as they get older, they had
more dugouts than there were anything else, and all you could see was just smoke pipes. There was hunting, trying to get all what could find, all the kids. And I'd see a smoke pipe up there and keep watching. I'd bet the smoke would come out. Well, I knew then it was dugout. I know that one day I told Pete about one over there, and he said no. And I bet there was a little smoke come out. We went over there, and there's no man living down in there. His wife was dead. He had about a half a dozen kids. Had a little old girl. Oh, she's 4 or 5 years old. Had her up in his lap. And he's given their age. And maybe some of the oldest one coming on down. We got down this last one. He said, and this is my little son that I got up and top the head just through.
There used to be an old dugout over here. You know, Robinson's lived in a dugout over here at T-Bar.
You've seen them, haven't you? Well, that was pretty comfortable. I've
seen a few
a lot of times.
Well, that's
I
not
dug out
about this
around.
much above the
You
ground.
see them up in Kansas City every now and then. There'll be one that I don't know what's in them, but you'll see them kind of sticking up.
Well, it'd be a complete dugout, but it'd be a door. Maybe you walk in, you know, and then go down the steps.
Jill Preface heated and cooled both.
Wasn't too much hardwood around.
I've heard you talk, and Uncle Judd too, so many years about the trip that you took. When Uncle Pete was teaching school, and he got out one summer and had a car, and you and Uncle Judd and...
Now, Judd and I sold a farm out. The farm implements, you know, how to sell. Bill and Spunky graduated.
So all 5 of you boys went.
Yeah, we took them on a trip for graduating present. We're all 5.
You were gone all summer.
Oh, we had the grandest time.
Where did you go first? Do you remember?
Huh?
Where did you go first?
Went El Paso, went that way. Then we took the southern route to California.
Did you go to the Grand Canyon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you betcha.
Did you go to that big crater that you said Uncle Bunky?
We sure did.
Walter and I did that a couple of years ago, and it was impressive.
It sure was.
And you went to Peach Springs?
Yeah.
Then what did you see in California? Did you go to the Redwood Forest, Yosemite, and...
Yeah. Yosemite Park. We went there. We started out there one night. We got on ways out of San Francisco. And we got out at the foot of the mountains. And we camped out.
Every night you camped out?
Yeah, camped out. We had army blankets sleeping on them out there. Next morning after daylight, I guess the sun was up. Some fella, just coming good daylight. Already had a fire built, hollering, sounding like a idiot. Call out of there, get out of there, you Texan, you, let's get us some breakfast and coffee. I want some coffee. Get out, fall out of there. And we all woke up, got out, rubbed the eyes, and he never...
May the 23rd, 1985, continuing tape on Big Papa's summer trip to the western states. The man that was hollering at you to make the coffee. This was in San Francisco.
He's president of a big college out there.
And he'd holler at the I bet he was happy to meet some Texans.
Yeah, he wanted to meet some Texans, you know. He used to live here, I think. I forget the name, but a university out there. And he had a class up in the mountain. He was meeting, they studied nature. They'd gone the day before. I was up where the big trees are, the Yosemite Park. And oh man, you talk about it, we had the grandest time.
Visiting with him.
Mm-hmm. I got up there in that park. Out of trees. Well, there's a tree there, a road run through it.
A tree that's road. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I bet you country boys were really
Boy,
impressed.
there's an eye opener. I don't remember. There's some bigger than that. Well, that old John Grant, son of them, oh, that's big enough. cutting off lumber to build the biggest ship in the United States. Build a box and put it in, then make a lid go over the top of it.
From one tree?
And that's when, those ships are big. You can't hardly, that's 400 yards long, I imagine.
Did you like San Francisco? Did they have the Golden Gate Bridge then?
Yeah. Yeah, the red bridge there, though, was more attractive. It was just that island you prisoners all since it's hard to
That's true.
always had it figured out to be like the island way off out yonder in the sea somehow, and great big rock bluffs.
Daddy, that's exactly what I always thought the Alcatraz would be, out in the ocean a little
You
bit.
got to see it?
That it's in the bay, you know.
What a beautiful looking place it is.
That's true. I had the same thoughts that you did, where it would be and what it would be like, and I was so wrong.
You can imagine our surprise in that.
Did you get to visit Alcatraz? They didn't let you go over there.
No, there's prisoners out there yet.
Did you go up and down the coast any in
Well,
California?
we come all the way.
Los Angeles?
Down below Los Angeles.
San Diego?
Border of Mexico, carry on up to...
All the way on the coast.
Up to Canada.
Did you like Oregon?
Yeah, Oregon was the only place that we thought we might go back to someday. Everything else we like Texas for butter. But there's butter there in Oregon. One of the most beautiful cattle I've ever seen. They all look like show cattle.
You've always loved cattle, haven't you, Daddy?
They're eating that grass, the fur and clover and stuff grows naturally down there in that valley. They just fat. It is show cattle, you know. And we always talked about that.
You don't remember where in Oregon that this was? Because I'd like to go there too.
I think it's northern part.
The northern part. Daddy, I love Oregon too. We've only been there once, but I loved it.
Well, that Columbia River.
Yes.
It come down between Oregon and Washington there. We turned off there. And went that old trail, I forget what to call it now, you know. It just winds around out through there, and they won't let anybody even turn a rock over or anything, natural.
The old Oregon Trail, maybe? I don't know if there is such a thing. It sounds good, though, doesn't it?
Some trail, it's beautiful.
What's the name of the city where the Columbia River empties out into the ocean?
Astoria.
Astoria. Yes, that's a pretty impressive.
Yeah, we went to Astoria. That's the first time we thought we saw the jumping off place. We were driving into Astoria, the water was the same blue as the sky. You had to get right up at it before you could tell that the water. It looked like the sky blue. It looked like our jumping off place yonder. There is the ocean. It's beautiful. Oh, so beautiful.
Then you went up into Washington.
Yeah, let's see.
Washington's north of
Before we tell you that, I want to tell you about a stop in Fenwick, Utah, and then I'll come back to that Oregon trip. Once in a while, every 2 or 3 days or so, we'd stop at a cafe and drink some coffee and eat a piece of pie, you know. Sort of midday. We went in there, I think it was on Saturday evening, and a whole bunch of girls. There's a big outfit, honey. There was about half a dozen girls worked there, and I guess there's that many more boys already in there. Pete's up the front, and me next, and George next, and Bill and Spunky. Pete said coffee. I said coffee. Coffee, 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 coffee. Went on down the line. Then come back. Pie, 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 pie. Then it comes what kind of pie we wanted to eat. I believe it's apple. I'm not sure about that. Pete said apple, you know. And got those girls confused. And they poured our coffee for us. Honey, it's cold. I don't mean it's cool.
It was cold.
I mean the coffee's cold. I poured a bunch of it out in my saucer and got to blowing it. Then I think Judson's poured some out in his saucer. And it's blowing on that coffee, slipping it like it's burning us. Oh, well, I got confused. We never did.
I know what confused them, Daddy. If 5 good-looking young men came in, made your heart kind of...
Well, they did get in the pie. They cut the pie time to it and dropped it on the floor before they got to us. Yeah.
My goodness, Daddy. Y'all must have really been good lookers to get them all sick up like that.
Anyhow, that was down in the book. We all laughed about that and talked about it since then. Now back trip on up
in Washington, the state of Washington.
The state of Washington.
Anything you can remember about that trip, because that's always fascinated me to listen to you.
Well, we
talk about.
saw Mountain Rainier there. Went out to it, you know, that was a grand trip up and down it. And then we went on to Washington, well, Seattle, and Puget Sound. It's a daylight come back in there, but it looks like the ocean. Big and blue Puget Sound. So we went on by there. That was a great trip. That Puget Sound was very impressive. We're going up this mountain. That was very impressive. And then we went on up into Canada.
Where did you cross? They're close to, in Washington, they're close to Puget Sound?
Yeah, all north of Puget Sound.
Have any trouble going across?
Yeah. There's a Englishman, border patrol there. He come out and met us, you know, had a monocle on, you know, had a cigar with a hole in it about that long, those monocles. He got to talking to us and found that gun. We had a 45 Army Colt. We carried in a biscuit compartment there, some of them call it glove compartment all the time. But he just sort of said hemorrhage. He saw that, that gun. And he said, you don't need cannons up here. You're coming into a civilized country. About that time, he saw us loaded. Then he like to die. I mean, he like to faint. Just jerking. And,
he's mad, huh?
Got your gun back to Justin. Said, remove the ammunition from this cannon. Justin loaded that cannon for him. And he made us get out and empty everything we had. He wouldn't touch nothing. Made us empty out everything we had. Show him our clothes, shake them out and everything. So he made up his mind we didn't have any more guns. He's going to let us go on, but he wouldn't let us take our gun. We wanted to come back down through Canada and come another way home, but we didn't want to leave our gun. He said, you won't need this cannon up here. Said, you're entering into a civilized country. He just chooses to shoot him. We never did forgive him.
You never did like Englishmen as much as
And we held it against England.
So you didn't get to go on up into Canada?
Yeah, we went up in Canada.
Did you leave the gun there?
Left the gun there. We got up in Vancouver. We had a camp out there where we camped and then went on down in town. And honey, I don't know how in the world we managed to get into it. But, what's the president of Canada? What do they call him?
The Prime Minister?
The Prime Minister. Well, sir, we found out later we got in his parade, and we was up right close behind him. The band was on in front, and we couldn't get out.
You got in the parade and couldn't get out?
Yeah, right there was Prime Minister up there just a little way, but we still didn't know there was Prime Minister up there. And the streets was all bright.
Lined with people?
Tall buildings, they were just cutting out paper and throwing it all over us. We didn't even know they knew we were coming. We finally got out of that. They got to the point, I guess, where they headed. We got back out there to Camp was telling the old man out the camphouse what had happened. Oh, he said, you boys got in that prime minister's race. He said, how in the world you ever managed to get into that? You're supposed to have all kinds of credentials and everything to get in that parade.
Yeah, I bet so too.
We were in it. Never didn't get questioned out there.
How long were you in Canada?
A week or two.
You didn't go much, just around Vancouver and through there?
Yeah, around Vancouver.
Okay.
Visiting, there's plenty of places there where you can visit.
I don't see how you 5 boys went in one car and took your chuck wagon supplies, cooking supplies, clothes, and did you have a tent?
No.
You just slept out in the open.
Yeah.
You needed that cannon to protect you
We
from
could use it at times, too.
bears and all that kind of stuff. Okay, when you came back down then, did you go across Washington? Did you go to the Cooley Dam? Or it hadn't been built then, had it?
Yeah. Yeah, we went to, no, that Snake River Dam, we didn't think they'd ever be able to harness that Snake River. That's what you're talking about. It was wild. We thought we were smart enough to know they never could harness a stream of water like that, but anyhow they did.
And then you went to Idaho. You visited your aunt. And
Yeah.
I think I've heard you talk about going to Yellowstone on that trip.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. We went to Yellowstone. I'd let you camp in there then. And we first entered the west gate. We got there, there's a whole bunch of those geysers, whatever they call them, over on that west side, around that west gate there. Some of them just shooting, blowing, kicking up steam. The others going down, blah, 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 blah. Hear them going down, up, going back down the ground. The whole ground was puffy, you just walk around. Stuff you could tell was fire on there, steam. And we met an old man now, he was out there stuffing that ground, one of them old geysers going down, grubble, 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 just spitting out water and steam. He just sincere to be, boys, he said, I bet hell is not a half mile from here. That tickled us.
She may be right.
It could have been, but you just imagine standing one tracks, fish out of this and catch a fish and just moving around another stream and cooking. And then we got the park down close to where they fed the bears. Had bear feeding
Did you
ground.
see bears?
Oh, did we? Man alive, we saw
Was this the first time you'd ever seen bears?
like that. And they'd come right up to the car. We'd stop at every point of interest, especially where they didn't charge.
I know, Daddy, I know.
The other sides there, they didn't charge. And we was out there looking stuff, and we come back and we couldn't get to a car. Oh my God, there's cars tucked all around there. And they standing up on top of cars, had Kodaks just grinding the Kodak. And we couldn't see what the world was the matter. And Pete wanted me to get on in there and get to the car, I believe, see what he wanted me to do. And by George, I got over there and there's a big bear inside of our car, and that's what those folks was taking pictures of.
What did they do? Smell the truck bug?
I guess.
But you ate your lunch?
He was tearing up things in there. I'm not joking you. They got the bear out. Then they'd be going up the head. I was little, I could get up there.
That's worse than Harry Jr. and Bruce getting the badger in the car. You remember?
Yeah. We'd left the window down, that bear crawled in there. I don't see how he got in there, as big as he was, but he did.
What else did you see on that trip? What do you remember?
Well, that night, we went down to far feeding ground. They showed us a big grizzly bear over there. He wasn't, it was everything but the same. He weighed about 1,400 pounds, one of the biggest bears they had. They call him Scarface. And So we went down there, that bear feeding ground out there, and those bears, they wanted everybody to be quiet. We were just quiet as we could be. Those bears began to come in down there. Now, Drucker here come on Scarface. He's, you know. They went down in there, and they knocked one of them other bears cut across the lot there sometime. They was eating away. So that is just bug-eyed as it could be. We went back and ate our supper. We could hear those bears fighting, grunting around there. And Judson and Bill, they had to smart out and go down there. They wanted to get a close look up, maybe they could see old Scarface. Well, they got to see him, but not like what they was thinking about. Those where the stands where we sat, they crawled up in around through up there, bear feeding ground right out there. They thought they heard something behind them, looked around, old Scarface standing up over them just like that. And standing on his hind leg. And Bill went off and left his shoes. He ran out of his shoes. And, they got back to camp. They got back early the next morning and found his shoes. But they just ran off and left him.
Dave, what did y'all do about your clothes? Did you have to stop along the way and do the laundry?
Yeah.
And stayed clean.
And stopped to
Bath
take a
your
bath.
groceries. Where'd you stop to take a bath?
His stream is big enough to do this.
Excuse me. I see.
It was sort of wild then. It's not like it is now.
Did you have any trouble among you five boys on let's stay here, or let's go there, or let's do this?
No, we didn't. We just all agreed. Pete, every morning he'd get lost all the time.
Oh, you did get lost even back then,
just in the morning. He wouldn't know where was going north or south. But when it come morning, when we camped out, well, he'd get up, and he and Justin done most of the driving, and just drive around in a circle. Which way is south? Maybe he'd point north. Then we'd no, keep it driving. Now, Drucker, maybe he'd point northwest. We was going south, and we'd try to get around. We'd point that way, so that's south. Stop! Well, that seemed like south to him, you know. That's where we start off.
Did you have a map? Did you have road maps?
Oh, yeah, but he's lost up here.
Oh.
He was going north. He thought it was going south. He thought it was going north.
How did y'all know about all these places? Had Uncle Pete studied about them, or all of you studied about them?
Oh, we got maps of this. All of this. What did you call parks? Glacier National Park.
Did you go to Glacier National Park?
Yeah, places like that. We had maps and things we could study. It was on the maps, and we'd go out to that. At the Glacier National Park, this mountain back.
It's not like it.
Glacier there, yeah. But it's a big canyon, but it's U-shaped, not V-shaped like water canyon. Now, it would move, say, 2 feet a year and melt back 3 feet or something. Melt back about a foot, I think, every year. Just a straight bluff up and down. That was all ice. Water running out down to the bottom.
Of all the things you saw on that trip, what impressed you the most? The big trees?
Well, it's a many impressive. I guess the big trees was one of the biggest impressions we got. We drove out of the big trees, and that was Sequoia National Park. You remember that's where the big trees are. Some of them see those redwoods, they see big trees, but they haven't seen big trees until you go up on that Sequoia National Park up there. That's where the big trees are.
You know what, Daddy Walker and I went a few years ago, and the thing that bothered me the most was there were so many people. And I didn't like that part of it. I like people, but I don't like so many people.
Well, the Sequoia National Park?
Uh-huh.
You didn't go up to the park?
Yes.
Where the big trees are?
Yes, we did.
Well, honey, it was so impressive. And, of course, president of that college, he had his class in there.
Mm-hmm.
And well, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the evening, I guess they'd been 3 or 4 o'clock, we drove up onto the, what is the Yellowstone Park, I guess it is there.
Now that's in Wyoming, Yellowstone.
Yeah, Yellowstone, but this is mountain. And there, what's the name of that park there?
Sequoia National Park and Yosemite National
Yeah,
Park.
Yosemite Park there. And they could see towards the east, sun from up there. They looked like the east and saw the mountain, saw those waterfalls coming out of the Sierra Nevadas there, running over those rocks about them. And it was just like a beautiful rainbow all over there, you know. That water splashing, that sun shining in it, like a waving rainbow. I guess that would have to be the most beautiful sight for sure.
It's a shame that you can't take it home with you. All you can do is...
Well, just try to tell somebody about it. But you just have to imagine seeing something big as that, and all of it look like a rainbow, flashing rainbow.
Did Uncle Pete get back in time to start school again in September?
Yeah. We come back, cut a trip a little bit short. Betsy got worse.
She had tuberculosis.
Yeah, and we went back and found out she had tuberculosis.
Do you remember when you went to see your aunt in Idaho?
You bet. You bet.
Now that was your mother's sister?
Our father's sister.
Your father's sister.
First time we seen her, Aunt Samantha, and Mary, her daughter, lived with her out there in Panhandle, Idaho, and we was going to drop by there to see them, and we both had armor blankets. We just make paddocks and sleep outside, you know, and go around cooking. So we wasn't going to eat there or stay there. We were just going to visit with them. But you ought to see Aunt Samantha. She's so happy to see us. She just cried. And she just loved me and said, you look just like Eli, her father, you know. And why she wouldn't hear it to us. It was in the Idaho there, south of I can't call the name of that place now. That's up there. But anyhow, there's a mining country there where she lived. And they had a big boarding house. Had about 8 or 10, maybe a dozen rooms upstairs. And beds in them. And the miners all closed down. That's all gone then. And she made each of us take a room to herself.
Now, boy, that was living home.
And you talk about eating, her and Mary. Honey, they fed us. They couldn't feed us enough. And I just enjoyed sitting and eating. You imagine how.
Well, what was she doing in Idaho? How did she get so far away? Marry somebody that went off up?
He died there.
And he died.
You were talking, I've been scribbling down before we even left home. No. About what model of the car that y'all went on that trip was. And you were talking about it while we ate dinner, but you didn't.
I guess it was 1929 or 30.
And it was a Ford?
A new one, yeah.
A brand new car.
Yeah.
It wasn't convertible, was it? It had the top on it. And what did you build on the back?
Grub box.
A grub box.
Sure, grub is.
What all did you put in it?
I would put potatoes and beans.
But you couldn't cook beans in the mountains.
No, couldn't cook beans in the mountains. Anyway, back and goods along, you know, put them back there. We could easily stop outside the road, you know, find us a nice place where there's water.
And you make you a fire from the tree?
Sometime we'd build us a fire, heat up dinner. We did cook beans about where we couldn't cook them. You see, we was up in the mountains most of the time.
How did that car hold enough clothes and food and cots and army blankets?
I believe we had an outfit on top, honey.
Oh, you put some things on the top of the
I
car.
believe that's right.
Well, I would think
I
so.
hadn't thought about that.
Well, I have wondered how you got all that stuff on.
Well, we had plenty of clothes, had army blankets. You see, you can fold them up. They don't take a whole lot of room.
And you just stop every now and then and do the laundry. Wash the clothes.
Yeah.
And what about the river? You said you could hear it and you couldn't see it?
Snake River.
The Snake
We
River.
come to the conclusion that they'd never harness it. But since then they have.
They sure have.
But you could sit like we did, you'd think that's impossible. Anything as big and as swift as it was to ever harness it. But they no telling how much work to it makes. Now.
You know, Nita told me something, and Daddy, this is what I think is so important, that you're doing that. Because Nita told me she had never heard you mention going on that trip.
Well, okay.
And, you know, I've heard you mention it a few times, but I think it's so important that they know about all those things. And I think that is probably...
Well, that's meant a lot to all of we boys that's on the trip.
Well, then when did you decide to come back to West Texas? Was that when you got feeling bad and then you decided? That's when you came back.
When we got back off that trip.
You went to work for Woolsworth then?
Yeah, I went to work for Woolworth. I had a good job with Woolworth. I liked it. I wanted to work for a manager, and that's what I lead up to. They got me all home there. Well, the manager I was with, well, I was under two different ones. They had already got me promotion, sent me some needed down Brownville. Brownville had the same size Woolworth stores they did out in Lubbock, you know. 3 double doors in front. And I was first assistant manager. Well, I was for the 70 Brownville. And there's a fellow from Chicago, as far as I know, he's the one that examined the young men where he thought they'd make a manager out of them or not. Well, I got to that stage, and it cost about $24,000, Woolworth figures, to get to finish me up into a manager. So this fellow gave me a personal interview, and he passed on me. So I was on my way. You see, that made a first assistant out of me. And I was well on my way for a manager. By George, I broke down last minute, wouldn't quit. I said, honey, a lot of nights I didn't sleep. I just thought I got enough hours to live on. And I went to not one doctor, but there's a whole bunch of them. They said if I lived, I was going to have to leave out of there and go to hard climate. They was talking about mountains. If I couldn't live there, we'll go out to sea. And you stay out at sea. I said, now that's a little hard, but that's what you'll have to do. So, well, I had to do it. I can see God in all this whole thing, for He had Mother out here for me.
You know, I like what Brother Fine said to illustrate the scripture, all things work together for good. He said, baking powder tastes terrible, and soda is worse than baking powder, and flour is awful, and vanilla is yuck, he said. But when you put the right amounts of all the things together, you can come out with a wonderful cake, or tea cake, or something. And I thought that was a good scripture.
Good illustration.
A good illustration. He said...
Well, anyhow,